Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Buckeye Weekly Podcast. I'm Tony Gerdeman here, as always, with Tom Orr. Tom, how's it going?
Tony, we get to talk. The last show we did was about bad guys. This one we're talking about guys who are potentially going to be very good. So we're kind of covering the entire spectrum of Ohio State football in the span of two shows.
Yeah, so what we're talking about here is a breakout star on defense, and it could be an existing starter, it could be a brand new starter. It's just the point being, last year, Ohio State had Caden McDonald and Arvell Reese as new starters who were All Americans, first team All Americans. Caden Curry, another first team All American. Who on this team, whether it's a new starter or an existing starter, is going to go from third team All Big Ten or honorable mention All Big Ten to All American? It seems like it should happen. We'll see in a few months whether that does, but I think there's some potential players on here, Tom, and I would like to go first in terms of giving you a player.
I'm sure you would. Go ahead.
I'm going to go with Jalen McLean, junior
Okay.
safety for Ohio State, kind of replacing Caleb Downs. So he's going to have that, how do you replace Caleb Downs type of thing. So there's already going to be some attention on him, but he is a playmaker. He's going to be asked to do more. He's smart as heck. He's around the ball. He's a veteran who understands the defense. Matt Patricia understands everything about him. Matt Guerrero understands everything about them. He understands everything about those guys and the defense and what he can do, what he's asked to do, and what an offense is doing. So for me, if I had to look and say who on this defense is going to be an All-American, there are other names as well, but I'm I'm all in on the Jalen McLean hype train this year, and I'm just trying to get others on board.
Yeah, I think this is a good pick. That was not the first name that I had on my list, but I think it's a good pick. He's someone who I would maybe have a little too coming in at a little bit too high of a level to really be like an Arvell Reese kind of surprise. But I think he's certainly someone who is going to be in that kind of conversation. First team All Big Ten, All American type conversation where he got overshadowed last year. And now the guy who is casting that enormous shadow is gone. And there's certainly other talented players in the secondary. But Caleb Downs was one of those people that just kind of sucked all of the oxygen out of the conversation because he's, I mean, a literal generational talent at safety. So now he's gone, and now Jalen McLean can sort of take over as maybe the big dog at the back end of that defense. So yeah, I think that's a very good one.
I will say,
My
I
Yeah,
will
go ahead.
say, he was third team All Big Ten by the media, which means
Mhm.
nothing. So he was maybe
Mhm.
honorable mention All Big Ten by the coaches, but certainly
What
not
do
enough.
they know about football?
Not much.
Coaches
They're fired. They are fired every single year.
need to be fired more, if you ask me. All right, so my first name here, I want to talk about James Smith because I think James Smith, nose tackle or defensive tackle, transfer from Alabama, just starting with winter workouts through spring ball, we just kind of kept hearing, kept seeing just very, very exciting, promising stuff out of him. It feels like he is going to be the next. I don't know if he's going to be the next Caden McDonald, but I don't know that he's not going to be the next Caden McDonald. Like Ohio State has had some really, really good defensive tackles over the years who have been really, really disruptive on the interior of the defensive line. The fact that he can play both three tech and nose, and maybe they're going to play three tackles together at points. Larry Johnson has certainly gotten a lot more flexible on that over the last few years, it seems like. And they're doing some more creative stuff with the defensive fronts, which means it's not just he's going to be time sharing with Edric Houston. If they can play next to each other, well, that really opens up some intriguing possibilities. So yeah, I would have James Smith right at the top of my list on this category.
I like that one. The his attitude as well is really great. He wants to be great. He wants to be better. He's working at it. He's taking everything that Larry Johnson is teaching. He's got the versatility. He's got the quickness. He's got the strength. And you mentioned the three tackles. Like I can see that where um, both James Smith and Edric Houston have the kind of quickness that could mask as a rush type of person. So I think there's a lot to like there. I think there's going to be some attention on him as well as a transfer. And you know, because Tom, it's not often that they bring in somebody from Alabama who doesn't then become an All-American. You got the Caleb Downs, you got Seth McLaughlin, and we'll see what happens with James Smith. I saw Quay Russaw recently be one of the dudes of the week during summer workouts, so that's promising. I'm not going to argue this one. I think if that happens, that's great, and there are some questions inside. So if he can answer that, then I think that's going to be a good sign. Can I interest you in a Devin Sanchez? Since we're talking about new starters, and his freshman year was a learning experience, and boy, anybody you talk to now about him, everybody's convinced that he's going to be beyond just fine. They view him as kind of the next guy up, and it's been a while since you've had this kind of recruit at the position, and then you got his feet wet, and now it's his time to ascend. And what we saw this spring was special, whether it's matched up against Jeremiah Smith, who he gave Jeremiah Smith fits all spring long. And so if you can do that, I think you probably do things against some other lesser players as well. So I think there's a real opportunity for him here to earn some All-American recognition, and not just because he is a former 5-star recruit, but because he's going to put it on the field and he's going to show the physicality that the position needs at the boundary as well.
Yeah, and you've got a pretty good corner on the other side as well in Jermaine Matthews, so you may get matched up with the best receiver sometimes, but not always. You're gonna have matchups where you may just be able to lock someone down for a huge chunk of the game. Yeah, I like this one. This is a guy who the recruiting rankings said one thing. You saw him on the field in game one against the number one team in the country last year. He had already clearly vaulted over several other pretty touted corners who had been there already a year ahead of him. So you saw it sort of in the hype, you saw it on the practice field, you saw it on the field, and it's just continued to develop over the course of the year. And yeah, he had some rough moments last year, but he was playing as a true freshman. That's what playing as a true freshman looks like. You typically see that big jump from freshman year to sophomore year with guys who got some reps early. Then the amount of time you spend on the practice field increases by a huge percentage between your first year and your second year. So yeah, I think he's a very, very good answer here. I'm going to go with my next one. I'm going back to the transfer portal. I'm going to say Earl Little, because Earl Little feels like he's another guy who we keep hearing the same stuff about Earl Little, and it's all positive. And I think Ohio State has looked at what Miami did with Keontae Scott in the slot last year, for example. He was the nickel for Miami, who had that pick six in the Cotton Bowl, but we saw him make plays like that in a bunch of the games that we watched in the lead up to that game as well. It could be a real difference maker, can hit at the line of scrimmage, can cover, can be that deep man. He can kind of do a little bit of everything, and I think Matt Patricia is going to task him with doing a little bit of everything. And if you can do everything and you can do it in a way that is unpredictable to the opposing team, that can lead to you making some big plays, big interceptions, big hits, big tackles for loss, maybe picking up some sacks here and there. I mean, just a little bit of everything. That's the kind of stuff where you're putting up numbers, you're putting up highlights that attract the attention of voters, and that's the kind of stuff that can get you a tree.
Yeah, the impact plays that we talk about in the bold predictions from secondary guys, whether it's tackles for loss, pass breakups, I think he's going to be employed in a way that will allow that to happen. So he's going to put up a bunch of different numbers in a bunch of different categories, which is going to help his odds of making that happen. I would not be surprised at all if he is a first team All-American. Tom, the last guy I want to throw in there, Kenyatta Jackson, a fifth-year senior, certainly not coming out of anywhere, was not a third team. Maybe he was an all honorable mention guy last year. He's got all the talent in the world. He's fine. I think he's going to be utilized in a way that can show all of his skills. I just think he could be the next guy. I keep saying he's maybe a top 10 pick just based on his frame and his potential. I think don't sleep on him is what I'll say.
Well, and I had not mentioned him so far just because I feel like he feels like he doesn't really fit this exercise, and I guess he kind of does. I mean, he started last year and it was, comes in as someone who they brought back because it was like, we have to bring this guy back. You know, bringing would Jack Sawyer have counted for this exercise before his senior season, or JT Tuimoloau? Like, it feels like he's kind of in that boat. But yeah, I am fully expecting a very, very productive senior season out of Kenyatta Jackson. Would be pretty surprised if you didn't get a pretty productive senior season out of Kenyatta Jackson. Yeah, what does that look like? 6 sacks, 8 sacks? You know, I don't think you can sort of expect 10, but I would not be surprised if he got to 10 sacks this year. So yeah, I think he's obviously a bit of a cowardly pick, but a good pick. So, you know, this is basically a bold prediction show.
That's why I threw it in at the end, just hey, don't forget about Kenyatta Jackson. Do you guys have any picks out there that we're missing? Go ahead, and if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and throw your picks out there. I'll be interested to see those. While you're doing that, hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you have not yet done so. If you're listening and want to watch, you can find us at youtube.com/@Buckeye Insiders. That will do it from here. Thank you all for tuning in, and we will talk to you all later.